Huh? What are you doing in my swamp?
Hello everybody, this is Overboy and I'm going to be doing my review for the 1974 movie, The Texas Chainsaw Massacre. This movie is co-written and directed by Tobe Hooper. He co-wrote it with Kim Hinkle, and this movie follows Sally and Franklin Hardesty, who along with their friends Kirk, Jerry, and Pam are on this little road trip in Texas. They're going to the cemetery to check out, make sure their grandfather's grave hasn't been robbed, because there's been a lot of grave robberies going on in that area. And they're going, after that they are heading to their summer home to spend the night. And when they get there, they find out that their neighbors are these cannibalistic psychos. And each of them start getting killed off one by one by Leatherface, this big bulking man who is killing them off so that they can be turned into food. But this is a really great movie. It's one of the most influential horror movies of all time. Most horror fans probably have seen this movie. You can't really escape the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, because if you're a horror fan, you know about this movie and you know what to expect in it. And it's always been one that I've really enjoyed ever since I saw it for the first time. I've only seen it like 3 times. This is my 3rd time seeing it. Didn't see this one until just a few years ago, but ever since I watched it for the first time, it was like in 2017 or 2018, I just absolutely love this movie. I think it's a really great horror classic that's very influential in the slasher genre. A lot of the tropes that even before Halloween came out that are in this movie, like using the different tools for killing and stuff. I thought that was kind of unique, and Leatherface wearing the mask and stuff, being the big hulking person, kind of like Jason and Michael Myers, was something different and stuff at the time. And this movie didn't get the credit for its influence on the slasher genre as much as Halloween does. Although I will say Halloween gets a lot of the other stuff done better, to be honest. But this movie is still a really great movie. Tobe Hooper's directing is amazing. He does a really great job with it, and the cinematography by Daniel Pearl is just absolutely perfect for this movie. And it's very low budget, and it has this gritty feel to it, and it kind of feels dirty and everything. Like every time I watch this movie, it makes me want to take a shower. Just there's something really dirty feeling about it. And I know part of it also, I think, is because the way the movie was made is it was made when it was very hot out, and you can feel that when watching the movie. Like you can feel that, if it makes sense. I don't know how to explain it, but if you've seen the movie, you probably get it. It's hard to explain, but there's just something about it that it makes you feel dirty and stuff after watching it. I always feel like I need to take a shower after watching it. But the cast is kind of mixed for me. The main characters, Sally, Franklin, and their friends, are just mediocre. Franklin is really whiny, and there's times where he's kind of humorous and stuff, like when he's throwing his little temper tantrum and stuff and everything. He's kind of funny, but at the same time it also gets annoying because he's like really whiny throughout most of the movie. But there's like this one part where he's trying to go through the house and he's having trouble and he needs help and nobody's helping him, and he's just being really whiny, and he's like come on Franklin, it's gonna be a fun trip. Well, if I have any more fun, I don't know how I'm gonna handle it. And the way he does it is just very hilarious and everything. He's like spitting raspberries, and it's just a really funny scene. But that's really the main part with Franklin that I kind of got amused out of. The rest of the movie, he just really kind of gets on my nerves, which I know a lot of people consider him to be one of the most annoying horror characters, if not the most annoying. He's just very, very annoying in this movie. And, but all the other characters are just kind of mediocre. Sally Hardesty is an alright final girl, but she doesn't do anything special. She doesn't stand out like Laurie or from Halloween, or Sydney, or from Scream, or even or especially Nancy from Nightmare on Elm Street, or even Alice from the first Friday the 13th. Like, to me, all of those characters are better, although she's more on the same level of Alice from Friday the 13th. She doesn't really have a lot to do, and she doesn't really have much of a personality and everything. At least Alice did have a little bit of one in Friday the 13th, but Sally just isn't a very interesting character. I know they keep trying to bring her back in these movies to make her interesting, but they just, so far they haven't. I don't know if this new one will. It looks like they're trying to make her like Laurie Strode, which I don't see how that's going to work in the new one. I'll talk about that when that movie gets out. But I don't care for a lot of the main characters, and most of them are just there to die anyway. Really, Franklin is the one that has the most personality out of any of them, and he's very annoying. But as far as the villains of the movie go, I think that all of the people in the Sawyer family is really great. Leatherface this is probably, I don't know if I could say Gunnar Hansen is my favorite Leatherface, but he's definitely one of the best versions of Leatherface, 100% for sure, because he's brutal, and he's got a creepiness to him. There's just something about him that's off and creepy, and I think that Gunnar Hansen does a really great job playing him. And John Cito as the cook is very, very good. I love him in this movie. I thought he kind of steals the show when he's on screen, but so does Edwin Neal as the hitchhiker. Both of them are just really great in here. And then you got Grandpa Sawyer, who you would think he looks like he's dead and stuff, and like they cut her finger and he starts sucking her finger and moving around a little bit when he does it. It gives him a little bit of energy. That's one of those scenes that always makes me squirm. It's just like very uncomfortable to watch and everything. But I love that whole dinner scene. That dinner scene is just absolutely amazing. It's one of the best scenes in a horror movie too. Like it just, the tension and the atmosphere of that scene is just really great. And like all these characters are crazy and they're laughing and being over the top crazy. It works in this movie. I absolutely love that about it. I will say though that Sally screaming got annoying too, because pretty much as soon as Franklin dies, she's screaming for the rest of the movie, and that got really old too, except for like a couple minutes when she had her mouth, when they had the gag in her mouth to keep her from screaming, and even then she's trying to scream with it in her mouth, so it kind of gets old after really fast. But I mean, at the same time, you can understand why she's screaming. I mean, if you're in that situation, I'm sure you would be screaming too, so it makes sense. It gets annoying. But all in all, I really love this movie. I think it's a very, very great movie. It's a very influential movie, and the Texas Chainsaw Massacre franchise is one of those. It's hit and miss, but this was a really great way to kick it off. I know a lot of people say it never really should have became a franchise. I somewhat agree, but at the same time, there are movies in here that I like quite a bit, so it's kind of the franchise as a whole is kind of a mixed bag, but this is definitely not one of the reasons why I say it is, because this is a really great movie. And like I said, it has a few flaws, but it's not a terrible movie at all. It's very, very good. So I say I'd give it a 9 out of 10. Could have had better written characters, but really that's the biggest complaint I really have in this movie. And for a movie that feels so brutal and stuff, it's like amazing how little gore this movie has. It's not very gory at all, but it still feels like it's grimy and dirty and brutal and stuff, even though we don't really see a lot of the gore and stuff. It's just a very well made movie, and it works. Everything they were trying for with this movie, it worked. Except for apparently it was supposed to be a dark comedy, and I can see a little bit of the dark comedy in it after hearing Tobe Hooper say that, but I still don't get it. This is more of a horror movie than anything. So I don't get get it being a dark comedy like he says it is, but yeah, so I absolutely love this movie, and I definitely would recommend it if you haven't seen it, especially if you're a horror fan. It's a must-watch as a horror fan. But anyway, let me know in the comments what you think of the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre from 1974, and I hope you enjoyed this video, and have a good day, everybody.
Hee hee!